Hello, my gorgeous light beings, my healers, my star seeds, my light workers. Welcome or welcome back to my channel, The Pleiadian Priestess. In today's reading, we're going to be getting into what are you most likely to become famous for, or what will your big break be? Okay, so we're going to be getting into all those kinds of topics. What could you do? What will you be doing? How will it happen? That kind of stuff. Maybe not so much how it will happen, but we'll see what comes through because different things tend to come through for different groups. So we'll see what spirit wants to come through for your specific reading. But yeah, today's reading is basically going to be like a what would you most likely be famous for, that kind of thing. So I'm going to need you to choose a group. For group one, we have the destroyer. For group two, we have the advocate. And for group three, we have the victim. So you're going to choose the card, the color, the number 1 through 3, the energy, whichever helps you best choose your reading. And then, as always, I will see you guys at your reading. Bye. Hello, my gorgeous group ones. Welcome to your reading. If you chose the destroyer, then you are in the right place. Welcome. Today, we're going to be going over what are you most likely to become famous for. What could you, what will you, take it however you want to take it, be famous for? Or what will your big break be? Okay? All of those things. So it could be an activity, it can be a career, it could be something random, it could be a 15 minutes of fame, it could be, I don't want to, God forbid, an accident or something. We'll see what comes through. You commit a crime, infamy, things like that could come through as well. So just, bear all that in mind when you're watching this reading. It's not always going to be, oh my gosh, you're going to be this famous pop superstar, movie star. Could be, very much could be, but that's not realistic for every person watching. Every person watching this is not going to be a famous, who knows, maybe not going to be a famous pop star, but you know what I mean? If you even want to be, that is. But anyway, I digress. Back to what I was talking about. You guys chose the destroyer. There's also another card behind it, which is the teacher. Okay, so already we have archetype our archetypal career coming through, okay? Because all these cards are not like actual factual careers, but we have one coming through. So, destroyer, first and foremost, we'll start with that, is releasing what is potentially destructive, okay? And preparing for a new life. So, you're messing things up. Okay, you are, I'm hearing boiling point, reaching your boiling point. So, I'm getting like for immediately with this, it was definitely giving me um destroying old factions, systems, things that do not work anymore, and teaching people a new way. Because look at how we have the world or the earth, a globe, and the person's cracking it open and showing all the things that are inside of it that no one could see because it was so popularized, it was so polarized, it was so congested. I'm hearing all those kinds of words. So it's basically people can't see the forest for the trees. We see the forest, we look at the forest, but we never take time to actually get to know each individual tree, learn how to maybe make the forest better, learn how to be comfortable within the forest because we were always told the forest is dangerous, full of dangerous animals, and that is true. But there is always something else that can be found. There's always a good to the bad, a light to the dark. And some people see things and they're scared and they don't want to do anything about it. And they kind of just stay complacent or they don't move. They just stay stuck essentially, or they just never do that one thing. And it's kind of like what's going to be happening with you guys. Your big break could be you're destroying old belief systems that have people stuck in this only one thing can be true mentality. Because look at, like I said, all these small little globes within this one globe. We were all like kind of generalized in this one globe, saying we all have to look a certain way, be a certain way, feel a certain way, you know what I mean? Act a certain way, make money a certain way, live a certain way. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And then you're cracking it open, telling them, no, there are many ways to be, many ways to live. Now, on teacher, we have the ability to communicate knowledge, experience, skill, or wisdom. So there's something you are going to definitely be highly skilled and educated at, okay? So a connoisseur of sorts. So for example, you could be becoming a teacher in philosophy or becoming a teacher in medicine, and you have a big what do they call it, a breakout cure for something, and you become known for that. You destroyed what we all thought was only one way, like for example, cancer. How we all believe that it's incurable or there's no cure for it. There's like you can only do chemotherapy and fight the cancer with the cancer, radiation with radiation, for example. You could be coming up with a new way that opens up worlds. You could be coming with a different cure for different kinds of cancers because they're all different, of course. They're all cancer, but they're all different. And you're like, you cannot sit there and only have one universal cure for one thing, that affects many different body parts or many different people, that kind of thing. Um, Also, there's different examples. Let me just let a few like trickle on in. Examples. Could I get an example? So, for example, how a lot of people say that everyone doesn't learn the same way. Okay, so for example, we have classes like look at above these many kids in one class thinking that kids all learn the same way, and it's just not true. Okay, people learn different ways. Some people are visual learners. Okay, some people can listen and learn something. Some people have to see something to learn something. Some people can teach themselves. Some people need a teacher, and we're all just having kids grow up and be thrown in one classroom learning the same exact thing, and it's like that's not how things work. Some kids need smaller classrooms. Some kids need a more hands-on approach. Some kids need lots of things, but we're all like generalizing children essentially. And I feel like you're going to be. I'm here also a myth buster. So, like I said, something about destroying myths is coming through for sure. It's like, for example, someone um in your so there's a house in your town, in your hometown, and that house has been deemed haunted for years. Or I got a better example. There's a person in your hometown who's been deemed evil, mean, nasty. Stay away from them for years. They just stay in their house and they're secluded. They don't come out and socialize. They're weird. Leave them, what I mean? Leave them to be, leave them on their own. And that person could be very chronically lonely, but they will feel shunned, or they feel so isolated. They don't think they have anyone to talk to. Whether they like being alone most of the time. Nobody wants to be alone all the time. No one should be alone all the time. So because they like to be alone most of the time, people say that's weird. There's something wrong with them. Let's not hang out with them. Let's like what I mean, shun them or look down on them. And you're coming into the town and saying, how about you guys go and talk to the person, say hi to them, maybe see what's wrong, that kind of thing, instead of looking down your nose on them kind of energy. And like you're coming into the town and busting the myth of this person being a witch, or this person being mean, or this person being a closeted murderer or something like that. Those kinds of things just was coming through. So like you're going to be coming in and teaching people a new way to live and experience things. Okay, it's also giving like life coach as well, because it says preparing for a new life and releasing what is potentially destructive. So you are going around and teaching people how to live better lives, more effective lives. It could be healthier lives. You could be a nutritionist. You could be what do they call it, a trainer. You could be someone who, it doesn't even have to be a profession. It can literally be just something you do on social media and you get big. Maybe you transform your whole life. You're going to be the fat burner, the fat destroyer kind of thing. Is kind of what I'm getting here. But it's like you're blowing something wide open, like a case, even a cold case. Oh my gosh, can you imagine you guys solving an age old cold case? And now you know what I'm getting. There was this little girl. I forgot what her name was, but she was literally this blonde, adorable, blue-eyed little girl who was in pageantry, and she literally just like disappeared from her house one night, and her parents don't know. They think that the parents are in on it, but they were never sure, because I have a friend who likes watching these creepy things, so that's what came to mind. And you could literally go in and solve the case, because you bust the case wide open. You find some new evidence, you find something someone was missing, that kind of thing. You end up looking at it from a different perspective. So I do feel like in those fields of forensics or detective work, it's very one way to solve a case. You know what I mean? Like you go to the academy, they teach you one way how to I de-escalate a situation. They show you one way how to solve a mystery, and it's kind of like there's so many different ways to do things, which is why we have independent contractors, which is why we have private investigators, which is why we had people like Sherlock Holmes, and Watson, like things like that. You could literally be a Sherlock Holmes and a Watson. I don't know why this guy is kind of giving me that vibe here, where he's like a little, or it could be a woman. This person's giving me that vibe, like, coming in with their skills, particular skills, experience, and wisdom, and busting a case wide open, but they're looking at, but you, I guess, would essentially be looking at it from a different perspective, that it's been told from, or it's been seen as, that kind of thing. So we're going to be getting more cards. I want one more card from this deck. Was the card already turned over? Oh my gosh, how was I mentioned detective if we have detective? It was meant to be, I'm taking it. So some of you could be a world famous detective. You go around solving cold cases, okay? And there literally is a show called, wasn't it like Cold Case or something? You have great powers of observation and intuition, the desire to seek out truth. That's you. I love that I was mentioning detective and it came out. I'm like, huh? Okay, so look, you're sitting here. Maybe you have, I don't want to, this is not an insult, but maybe you are very plain looking, or you know how to blend in where people do not see you. You're inconspicuous is the word. You literally go out and you'll sit there and be able to just blend into society and hear what they have to say, because you don't come off as a threat. You're not too, like, see, I don't want this to be an insult. You're not too overly beautiful where you attract attention and make people nervous, and then you're not also polarizing where you make people not want to be next to you. You're kind of just like able to blend in. I'll just say blended. I don't want to say plain or insult anyone's, looks, but it's kind of like you're able to become inconspicuous and find out things or read into situations that other people wouldn't be able to do in the same environment or situation. So this person's literally here. It could just be reading a newspaper in a group of people, and because they look this kind of way or they're inconspicuous, they're able to hear things, and people like are not thinking of them as a threat or something. But and as opposed to a big detective in his police officer suit with his badge coming in to a bar and trying to sit there and glean information. You can't do that because people already know you're a police officer. They're gonna, clam up kind of vibe. But if you're just regular, a simpleton, we should say, you can just walk around and you hear things and you just blend in and people don't see you. And it's funny because I was reading a book. Okay, I forgot the name of the book. Cold. You're so cold. No, it could be You're So Cold. And it's basically about a girl who grew up in, like, what can we say, Christian, Catholic we'll say, because it was her father was like a bank guy, and her uncle worked for the Vatican. Like he, traded secrets of sorts, that kind of thing. And she wanted to grow up and be in that profession as well. And he had trained her to grow up and like blend in, to not catch too much attention. And women in general are seen as not a threat, so it would be easier for a woman to sit down and, glean information, because they're not looked at as, oh, this person's sitting here trying to, milk me for information or do certain things, which is why I feel like women spies are, you know, necessary, they're needed, they're helpful, useful, effective, all of those words, because men do not, think of women as a threat, okay? But if a man were to be coming around asking questions, people would clamor. If a woman were to do it, they would think, oh, she's flirting with me, she wants to get to know me more. So you're very good at making people feel comfortable, and then they tell you their deepest darkest secrets, and then you're able to use it against them or destroy them, if you will. So it's kind of like someone sends you in, you're a spy, okay, and they send you in to glean information on a specific person, the suspect, we'll go with, okay. And you're, being your usual self. You're sitting there talking, just being whatever, maybe coming off as someone who is not as smart as you are, okay? And they're just talking and telling you all their business. And you go back to your headquarters and tell them everything that you know, and you're able to solve a case. They let something slip because they were very comfortable with you already. It's also giving me that movie. What was it called? The Something of Ungentlemanly Warfare. It was a movie that came out with Henry Cavill and a bunch of other sexy men, child. Henry Golding was in there. Hero Fiennes was in there. Um, who else? What's that guy's name? Alec Richardson, the guy who plays, what's his name, Reacher on Prime. Like, too many fine men to count, y'all. Okay, they were up in there, and they had a woman with them, and she's the one who kind of went in and had the big boss under her spell until she kind of slipped up. Okay, but it's like, sending a woman in to do a man's job because she can do it better and more. You know, I don't want to say sneaky, but you could be known for like being sneaky, being a teacher, being a little bit of a detective, that kind of thing, and that is where you like shine. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is get some more oracle cards for you guys and see what else wants to come through. What are they most likely to become famous for, please? What will their big break be? Or what would it be? That one to fall out. I don't think that's the same card. Okay, I'll take these two. Yeah, oh, so the Gemini did want to come out. Thanks for coming back out. Appreciate you. Okay, and then we have seventh house relating. Yeah, that's your superpower, honestly. You're able to relate to others, make them feel comfortable, blend in, use your intuition. Use your intuition. Come on now. I wanted to say intuition information. So there is something here about you going in already having some key and using what you already know plus your powers of bruh, intuition. I'm hearing powers of persuasion to like kind of like push the tide in your favor. But with Gemini the butterfly, it is giving two faces, it's giving spy. Okay, so I kind of feel like you guys would be famous international super spies. That's what you would be known for. But it's kind of like no one really knows who a spy is. So maybe you may be famous in your organization for this, for these skills. Because no one's supposed to know you're a spy. Because if they do, they're not going to tell you anything. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like Gemini. You're able to play two parts, be a little two-faced, embody the character you need to be for that night. You're a good actor, essentially. You put on what you need to put on and act as that person, then move on to the next thing, kind of thing. It's like knocking them down. You go into this case, be who you need to be, solve that one, move out. Go on to the next case, be who you need to be, solve that one, move out. It's also kind of giving me a movie that I was watching. I think it's on Netflix. It's called Hitman with Glenn Powell and Adria Arjona. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Um, and basically he is yeah, he is basically some inconspicuous, is he an ethics professor or something, philosophy something, um literature, one of those kind of professors, and he kind of moonlights as a, I don't know what he was called specifically, but basically the police force hired him to go in and be the person who is not police but convince people to commit their crimes. So basically, he was a hitman. And I guess around the time where they were doing that, a lot of people were hiring hitmans to, unalive or off members of their family, strangers, whatever. And he would go in pretending to be the hitman, get them to confess on tape, and then lock them away. And sometimes but this was a very much more exaggerated version of what actually happened because it is based on a true story. But this guy would have like different um he would really go in and put on the disguise and become a different person each time, depending on who he was talking to become more relatable to them. So if he was talking to someone who's like from Hicksville and who's deep country, he would turn into that person. If he's coming from someone who seemed like, he would literally become the kind of hitman that people he expect those people to want from him, and he would get them on camera, then put them away in jail. That's the kind of thing you're coming through as. But he was never discovered until way after he passed away, and he was very much a loner, which is what I was mentioning at the beginning. But I was talking about others, not you. You could be that loner as well. That's just coming through. You are the loner, but you're good at what you do. That could be a thing. No one really knows you, but you're good at what you do. On the other hand, we have relating here with the seventh house. So I don't know how true that might be. For some of you, it might be true, but for others of you, you're very good at relating to others, making them think you have a relationship with them, maybe making them fall in love with you. Maybe what you'll be famous for is maybe being on a dating show as well. It could be coming through for some of you, and you may be the two-faced or fake person on the dating show. Take a rest. If it doesn't resonate for you, leave it alone. Okay, that's what's coming through. You end up being the evil villain, the destroyer, the plant, because there is always a producer plant. We are told in the reality TV, they put there to kind of hype up the drama, because they and people need to come back and watch and believe that these women or men are fighting tooth and nail. You know what I mean? To get this person, the kind of like The Bachelor, for example, is what I'm getting. So you could be on a dating show, is what you become famous for and known for. A teacher, a detective, or you're just someone who bad things are always happening to, or you'd like kind of destroy everything you touch. That could be something coming through. I gotta say, because the energy is here. But with seventh house, you have partners, companionship. You could become famous for being in a relationship with someone who's high profile. Okay, your marriage, your friendships, all that kind of stuff. Your relationships in your life is like in proximity to people who are famous, and that's how you become famous. It's kind of like the whole how what's his name, Kim Kardashian became famous by being associated with Paris Hilton and all of them. You know, she was the friend of a famous person. You know what I mean? And then she became even more famous than them, surpassed them in fame. You know, we still love Paris. We still talk about her. You know what I mean? But she's not as famous and a household name as the Kardashians seem to be right now. Relating is also, like I said, by association. So you can be famous the way Kylie and Kendall ended up becoming famous by association to their sisters. We saw them growing up in the house, you know, on the television show, and that's how we knew them. And they ended up with more notoriety than most models or conglomerates would have. Because Kylie, she wouldn't be as popular as she was without the Kardashian name, you know, given to her. Even though her father was Bruce Jenner or whatever, I don't think she would be as famous or as successful without his name, or without the name of Kim, who did all that she did to make this family become famous. So Kim ended up getting fame from being associated with Paris, and then her entire family became known because of being associated with Kim. Okay. Also, with this seventh house coming through, it is Libra energy. So it could be because you balance things out. You get to the bottom of things. There's justice to be had because you came in and provided that justice. So now I want to get some tarot cards and see what else comes through. What would you be known for, famous for? With the Gemini, we have the butterfly, which is someone who's curious, communicative, versatile, flexible. Geminis are known for being really sharp-witted, very quick-witted, very smart. And that's also giving that detector energy. I mean detective, but detector either way. Also, you could be a lie detector. You are known for being a lie detector. A human lie detector, you could tell if someone's lying. The lie detector has to pick up on, changes in breathing and heart, stuff like that. You can just tell if someone's lying, and that's your intuition. And that's what you bring to your detective work if you are a detective or super sleuther or myth buster or something like that. That's what you bring, that natural intuition and observation that people don't have. Most people, anyway. Okay, so what will my group ones be famous for, please? What will they be widely known for? You have a King of Pentacles in reverse. We have street smart coming through in the Gemini card. So you will be known for being street smart. Knight of Swords is also someone who's very quick witted. Are all these cards in reverse? Jeez. Are they? Yeah, so I'm gonna put them up right because this is the same name. So King of Pentacles, maybe for building your own empire, coming from nothing to something. It's kind of like not like sudden fame. So this is kind of giving me sudden money where it comes out of nowhere and you just blow up one day overnight and become famous. And I do feel like people do say there's no such thing as overnight successes, but I do feel like in your case you might just be that. Like I said, you are the teacher who was very vigilant of a student you had, and you realized the student was being abused or the student was about to be, I don't want to use such heavy themes, but where people steal kids and take them, the TRAFFI, that word, where they take the kids and do that, and because you were very observant, you saved the child from being taken or being abused or something like that. And that's kind of what comes through for you guys. Okay, guys. So I was kind of getting a if you see something, say something energy when I kind of took a break or a pause, because I was thinking about how Geminis are known for being very talkative and very chatty. And in New York, I don't know if it's an everywhere thing, you have it on the train. If you see something, say something. So if you see something suspicious, a bag that's just placed there, you say something, and then it could end up saving a whole bunch of the people. So it's kind of giving a you see something, like I said, because you're very perceptive. You see a child acting funny, you see people acting funny, your intuition says there's something up, so you become extra vigilant, and then you kind of call the police, for example, and say, hey, there's suspicious energy going on around this certain place. Let's go for Walmart, for example. That's a lot of the places that it happens, honestly. If I'm being honest, when I hear on social media, it's at Walmart where they be picking up people because it's very weird and chaotic energy at Walmart. And everyone's just, it's just, I hate Walmart. I just hate it so much. Like, I used to love it living in Florida as a child, but when I'm in New York and I'm so used to Target and everyone's kind of just like, chilling. And I went to Walmart yesterday because I went to help take my sister to college. And we went to a Walmart in Washington, okay? And the Walmart was so freaking ridiculous. People did not know how to drive. It's so like a cart. Like, you're blocking the whole aisle. What are you doing? Do you not know how to drive a car? Do you not know there's other people in here? Move to the side. Like, everyone's walking, everyone's crowding one aisle. There's no space. It was really pissing me off. I'm just like, there's no order in this place with this Libra energy company that could be you as well. There's no order. Everyone has common sense. If you know you're in an aisle and other people are here, this is not your own personal store. Move to the side. Let people pass. And I think it could be just a New York thing because we're used to everything being congested, but everything was just willy nilly there. Everyone was bumping into you. It was like so annoying. I was ready to start cussing people out for real. Yeah, that's how it was happening. So I kind of feel like that's why Walmarts are targeted, because Targets are more not chaotic. Walmart's are very chaotic. So a lot of things are happening. So no one's really noticing that this one child gets swiped up or, that kind of thing. But you do, because you're always alert. And you call the police and say there's suspicious activity over here. They come and they could follow someone or follow up on what you said, and you end up busting a whole ring. And it could be a worldwide ring here with the world, coming apart. And you may have that your tip was the big piece they needed, to solve the whole puzzle kind of vibe. And they realized, oh, things have been happening at this Walmart. This is why everybody's been disappearing, or this is the main person in the operation, that kind of thing. It's like giving serious stuff. But because you were talkative and you said something, you opened your mouth because you saw something suspicious going on. That's the kind of energy that I'm getting for you guys, and that's what you'll be famous for. Then you end up being on the news and like, oh my gosh, because of this good Samaritan, this child was saved, that kind of thing. That's the big energy I'm getting here for you guys. Knight of Swords is also saying something communication vibes. Ten of Cups is kind of like, I'm hearing like saving a family kind of vibe, or saving a family from being a victim. Is what the vibe that I'm getting here now that I brought up the whole ring, the T ring. I don't know how YouTube feels about that word, so I'm just not gonna say it. But y'all know what I mean, where kids get taken and sold and that kind of thing. Adults as well, women as well, that kind of stuff. That's what I'm talking about. So it's kind of like you say the happy family kind of thing, but also at the seventh house relating, like I said, it could be a happy family, a happy marriage that you become famous for. People love your relationship so much, you can end up posting couples content on social media. And I know that's a stark difference from what I was just talking about, sorry, but I want to get the messages out as they come, and they come pretty quickly around here. So it's like with the seventh house relating, which is the marriage commitment, long-term commitment kind of thing, you become famous for having a partner and posting on social media, or your man becomes famous your man is famous because he's the King of Pentacles, and you become famous from being his spouse, which is what I was mentioning up here. By proximity, you're famous by proximity. So Eight of Swords, like I said, yeah, you're saving family from being a victim, or you're seeing things that other people cannot see. Essentially, is what I'm getting for you guys with the how you may become famous. Look at her. It's being nosy may be your saving grace. I'm hearing being a gossip, okay, being a yenta, okay, by you just talking, you may blow up a whole entire case and destroy a ring, destroy someone from doing a crime before they do it, kind of vibe. And you end up teaching people to be more vigilant when they go out because you're on the freaking whatever o'clock news, and people are, and you're like, I just knew something was wrong and I followed my gut and I made sure to stay, alert, and that's how I was able to save that child from da 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 da. And people are like learning, like, now I need to learn how to be more, vigilant when I'm out, because that could have easily been me, or could have easily been my child, that kind of thing. You're bringing awareness essentially to many different topics. And like I was mentioning also in the beginning, you're bringing awareness to a topic of people only living one way, doing one thing, thinking one thing to be true. You know what I mean? Becoming too complacent. You're showing them there's a whole bunch of freaking opportunities or ways to do things, views. That kind of vibe is what's coming through for you guys. But I just keep hearing myth busting. So you could be someone who goes on these trips to solve myths, you know what I mean? These cold cases as well. Or you hate the way things are being done, so you kind of go around and tell people or show people there's a different way for them to do it. You can only It's giving like World Wide Web as well with the world there. So it could be something you show people from the comfort of your home. You become a teacher to others, or you know what's also like really cute that I'm thinking of. You could become like an at-home detective where you kind of mull over different cases, and you give your spin on it, and you tell how you would have solved it or how you would have done it, and you ended up solving it anyway. And it's also actually giving me that new show on Netflix. What is it called? A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, where she did not feel comfortable. And I did mention this in another reading, so sorry if you're hearing it again. But there's a girl in a small English town where 5 years prior, a girl she knew disappeared, because the small town is small. So, of course, they all knew each other. A girl that they knew disappeared or ended up dead, okay? So, the murder was blamed on the girl's boyfriend because he admitted to it through text and then committed to, unalived himself afterwards. I don't want to keep using these words too much in succession. So ever since it happened, she has not felt comfortable with how things ended for him, or how someone she knew was a good person was going down for doing something she didn't think he did. So now she has to do her, it's not CPR. I don't know what I'm thinking. You could be known for doing CPR. Okay. Breathing techniques is what I'm hearing. But is it EPQ? I think it's EPQ. So it's kind of like a dissertation, but they do it in high school, um, in England. Okay, so she's still in high school and she's doing her EPQ, and she chooses to and decides to do it on this cold case where the girl just went missing and ended up dead. And we never know what happened to her. They never found her body, that kind of thing. So she ends up going on this whole freaking journey solving the case. And it's kind of like, because her intuition was telling her dude was innocent, the person who went down for it was innocent, she ends up finding out what actually happened. I don't want to ruin it in case anyone wants to go watch, but it's a really good show. It's like only 6 episodes long. I feel like it's worth the watch, honestly. But it was so good. I was surprised how well I liked it. But it's kind of like a whole whirlwind. In each episode, we think it's someone new until we get to the end and find out who it really is. And it's going to be very surprising, I feel like. Or maybe not, if you're someone who's very intuitive. Because me, I kind of knew where it was going. At least for the one I'm not going to, I'm saying too much. It's good. Just give it a watch. She ended up becoming a detective, and everyone kept telling her, "Leave it alone, leave it alone, leave it alone." And she's like, "No, I can't." Because an innocent man who I think is innocent, who I think did it, went down for her. And if she didn't listen to her intuition, the whole town would have went on thinking that the boy did what he did, and he really didn't. But anyway, that's what is coming through for you guys. Honestly, you kind of say what needs to be said. You get to the point, the heart of the matter, and kind of help people get out of this victim mentality. So like I said, it's kind of like giving life coach, fix your life, a little bit of a detective, a little bit of a myth buster, that kind of thing. You're a teacher. You're definitely going to be teaching things. So I do want to get some last parting cards from this Brittany deck that I have here. It's not very, it's not for like careers, but it's like close enough. It's the closest deck that I have to actual like careers besides this archetypes deck. I'm sorry if you hear raggedy kids in the background. These kids don't know how to shut the hell up, y'all. I can't. Kids just don't know how to be quiet. I don't understand why I have to be screaming and screeching on the phone with each other. It makes no sense. It's never that serious. But I guess for them it is. Okay. So we have goddess. So you could be known for being a mother. Okay. Or a lot of people worshiping you, which makes sense. If you do become famous for something, it will be people worshiping you. We have the cusp. I don't even know what the heck this means. Let me get one more card. We have the cusp. On the cusp of greatness is what I'm hearing. What will they be famous for? This card flew out. And we have the dancer. Okay, so some of you may be famous for dancing. At the bottom of the deck, we have the forest fairy. So we have the goddess, we have the forest fairy. Someone who's very sweet, someone who's very innocent, but also very intuitive is what's coming through as well. Someone who goes after what they believe, and that's what you're going to be famous for. Never giving up, never backing down. If you're seeing something, you're saying something. I do want to get the book for the cusp and see what that says. Because I really don't know. The cusp is 17. Hit me, baby, one more time. The cusp. I'm Not a Girl, Yet Not a Woman is one of Britney's most famous introspective ballads, a song that perfectly exemplified where the star was at that pivotal moment in life. Her third album, Britney, was a departure from the sugary pop of her previous two efforts. Britney was experimenting with new sounds and new producers and entering a new chapter of her career. She was in control and calling the shots, but that didn't mean she didn't question life and feel uncertain. The cusp is for moments when you're on the edge of major change. You may not be standing atop a canyon like Brit in the video, but you're making moves. Look inward and let lessons of your past prepare you for the future. So it's definitely giving like when you're on the cusp of something and when you think something's going on, you're definitely going to be sitting there super soothing it and sniffing it out. That's absolutely the vibe that I'm getting from you guys. If you think something's going on, you're not going to give up. If it's nagging you, you're going to get to the bottom of it essentially. And because you know you're on the cusp of something big and you don't give up. You know you keep going. You find justice for victims. So y'all can like let me know if some of you are really out here, super sleuthing it up. Being what do they call it? I just said his name earlier. Being Sherlock Holmes and Watsons out here. Let me know. Because that would be absolutely cool. If when you're on the cusp of something, you don't give up. And you could also be known as doing that and also having a very happy, thriving family, a very happy mother, because 10 of Cups coming through here. And there's a couple with their 2 kids. So it's kind of like you're doing it all. You're a superwoman, which would make sense with the Gemini split down the middle energy of being one thing but also being another. You can be a successful businesswoman and you can be a mother as well. You could be a successful wife and a mother and, you know what I mean? All that. But I think I'm going to leave the reading right there. The King of Pentacles is definitely giving me you're going to be famous for having your own business. You could literally start a super swooping business on your own kind of vibe. It's also giving me, what's his name, Neve from Catfish. The way he kind of started that whole catfish, busting catfishes because of himself being catfish. And it became a whole production, it became a whole show, and it became his whole career. He was catfish. They don't want anyone else to deal with that because he was good at, cross-referencing numbers and Googling, reverse Googling and, using Max as but he was the brains behind the operation. He was the one sitting there finding out things and calling numbers and da-da-da-da. And at the end of the day, they always ended up finding out who the catfish was. That's the kind of person you are. You're the Neve, okay? blowing things out the water, solving cold cases, solving catfish cases, solving things that people can't see, letting them know there's more out there. You know what I mean? Opening their eyes to certain realizations. Some of you may also just be known for being a dancer. It's gonna depend. It could be all of you. You could be all the things. Like I said, you're not held to a box. You're able to switch it up. Okay, so I'm going to leave the reading right there. I hope this reading resonated. If it did, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the tribe. We'd love to have you. If you would ever like to book a personal reading with me, you could always get in contact with me. Use my email in the description box below. But I hope you're having a beautiful, wonderful day whenever you're watching this reading. And as always, I will see you gorgeous people in the next one. Bye. Hello, my gorgeous group twos. Welcome to your reading. If you chose Advocate, then you are in the right place. Welcome. Today, we're going to be going over what will you be known for, famous for? What will you most likely be famous for? Okay. What will your big break be? That kind of energy. So, if you were to ever become famous for what, bruh? If you were to ever become famous, what would you be famous for? When you do become famous, what would you be famous for? Take it as it resonates. If you want this to be a silly reading, let it be a silly one. If you want it to be a serious one, then take it seriously. It's all about intention. Okay. So we have Advocate. So I do feel like you're going to be an advocate for a lot of different people, with Advocate being the first one coming through. It inspires you to put compassion into action. So it's kind of like there's something that's always been nagging you about something, because there's so many things you can be an advocate for. Homelessness, for world hunger, for climate change, for not having enough projects in the community for youth, for kids. There's so many things, honestly. So it all depends. You're going to be famous, or most likely will be famous, for advocating for some kind of change, which is you taking your compassion and putting it to action to help heal. I'm hearing healing hands, grandma's hands. There's something with that coming through as well. That is a song that I first heard it for the first time at, I think it's Medea's Family Reunion, which is a Tyler Perry movie, and it's basically when they're like so disgusted, the elders of the house of the family, when they're at the family reunion, are so disgusted about how all the kids are all they doing is booty shaking and drugs and all that kind of stuff, and they're just like, do you know what we had to go through, especially because it was very much filmed in the South? It was a Southern family. Like, do you know what your ancestors had to go through with being slaves, and this is how you repay them? Like, she was really just reading them the filth, bro. And I believe now that I'm thinking about it, it was Maya Angelou who made the speech in the movie. Like, she was just very much older. She was making the speech, talking to them, and the whole time, that the whole thing, like before it was happening, I think it was like they were wheelchairing her around the property or the event space, but it was outside by like a house in the country, just like mad space. And they're wheeling her around, and she's just watching all her great grandkids and nieces and uncles and cousins just shaking booty and fighting and gambling and all this kind of stuff. And then she kind of just comes and says, nah. All the compassion she has for them, she turns into action. She gathers everyone around and reads them to filth on the porch of the house. She's like, this is what y'all doing? Do you not understand what we came from, what we did to get here? And this how y'all repaying the pain and the suffering that happened? Those are grandma's hands. So yeah, that's coming through. It's not funny at all, but it's just like the song always gets me. So I'm like, yes, girl, you better sing, okay? But essentially, that's what's coming through here. You're seeing things happening and it's not sitting right with you, so you have to say something about it. Okay. Now we have Damsel, which is understanding the nature of healthy romance inspires you to rely on yourself. Now, Damsel is just giving people who need help, literally, which is why these two I love. They literally, first of all, guys, flew out together, which I love because it means it has some correlation to get together. So you're an advocate for people who can't help themselves, damsels, okay? So you can be an advocate for abused women. That's another, project that's close to a lot of people's hearts. Women who are homeless, who don't have proper exposure to doctors, medications, pads, even, things that we as women need. And because they can't take care of themselves, some of them have kids, they can't take care of their kids. And it's just something that, hits very close to home. Maybe I'm hearing for some of you, whatever this advocacy will be for, it hits close to home, which is why you have the compassion to turn it into something you want to now change in the world. So there's something here about that. You may also become an advocate, because there's a lot of people becoming advocates for, I see on social media, decentering men from your life. So women who are always trying to be the damsel, who's always going outside trying to impress a man, who's always going outside, you know, trying to appeal to the male gaze, find their partner, find their soulmate. You can become an advocate for that. There's a lot of women who's like, I had to learn how to decenter men from my life, and it was like one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, because we as women, this is for my women out there, not the men. Um, all we have been known or grown up to be exposed to is literally, we have to look cute for men. We have to find a husband and settle down. We have to depend on men to be a provider, that kind of thing. It's just like, nah, no, we don't. Not in today's society. We could be on our own. There's like not too much on men. There's really not much they can give you now in sense of security, because you can give that security to yourself. Back in the days, women did need men because women could not work. They were stuck at home taking care of the kids. Being the wife, being the stay-at-home mom. And in today's society, women can work for themselves, so there's nothing really we really need from men besides like maybe having kids or something. And even then, we can go to sperm banks and adopt, so we really don't need them for that either. So it's like very hard balance to keep, where you're still centering men in your life, but they're not willing to even give you what you were told that they could give you anymore. You know what I mean? So it's just a whole thing of decentering men, kind of like stopping yourself and other women from being the damsel and learning how to take care of themselves, which is something that is more prevalent than we care to talk about, I would say, in society, any society, where we're all about going up, but what if the guy don't find you attractive? Like putting our whole worth on men and how they view us. I don't give a flying full doodle. You know what I mean? That ain't my business how this person feels about me. I don't know him. Why am I dressing for him? I'm dressing for me. You know? It's like decentering men and love and romance from your life and finding fulfillment in other things, and not saying you don't need love at all, don't look for it at all, but it's like don't make it a big thing kind of vibe. So I'm getting a whole bunch of different passions that you guys are passionate about, that you're going to just sit there and stop being silent and complacent. You're going to talk about it, is the vibe that's coming through for you guys. So that is what you'll most likely be famous for, like having a voice and using that voice. Or not having a voice but still using it. You don't always have to have a big following to advocate for anyone. It could be as simple as you're out with someone and someone isn't being treated right, or you see someone who's hungry and you buy them food, or you see someone who's homeless and you give them the information to a shelter, you see someone who's lost, you know offer to help them find their way again. It's as simple as that. Little small things. It doesn't have to be anything on a grand scale, but it could start small. And the more money you have, the more maybe support you get, the more it can become something bigger. Is essentially what I'm getting. Now we have one more card, which is Queen. Look at that. And I love how we didn't get King. And I was talking about women decentering men from themselves, realizing that you can literally get anything in your heart of hearts that you want now in this day and age, and you don't need a man to do it. Like I said, not too much of my men that may be watching. I'm sorry, but I'm just talking to the women here. So so I love that we have Queen come out. Remember that you are a queen. Every king needs a queen. No king was as powerful, if he didn't have a nice, competent queen who was helping him by his side. Everyone needs help. And it just so happens the queens give the best help I'm hearing. But you know what it's mostly giving me? It's giving me that show. It's something the great. What's her name? I forget her name. Catherine the Great. Yes. It's a show on Hulu. I don't know. I feel like it was originally on Hulu. It wasn't anywhere else. If it was, then I'm wrong and it was somewhere else. But I started watching it on Hulu. And it's basically Elle Fanning and Nicholas House. Is that his name? Him. And he plays he plays a czar in, is it Russia? Could be in Russia. And then Catherine the Greatest, ends up having to forcefully marry him because her parents really just sell her off to him, and that's not her husband. And she ends up becoming Catherine the Great because she knows that she has all the power truly. you know, and she ends up making a name for herself in the world by being a queen, you know, or from being a queen. We know her as Catherine the Great, who was a queen to, I'll be forgetting that man's name. I think his name was Alexander. I'm not sure. I need to go back and watch that show, talking about that show. Like, I kind of stopped watching it, but I'm going to go back and watch it because I heard it got good. So I'm going to do it. But anyway, you radiate the regal feminine, you use radiates the regal feminine, uses her benevolent authority to protect others. Well, I can't talk. So yeah, there is something here about you protecting others. The cards are carding in this instance. Not that they don't always, but it's just like, yeah, there's something here about you having to protect others, speak up for others, talk for others, you know, because they can't talk for themselves. It's kind of like how kids need adults to talk for them because they can't talk for themselves. This is why kids aren't able to make their own decisions in society anyway until they're like 18 at least. Because kids don't have the proper tools, they don't have the proper knowledge or the proper experience essentially to make these decisions. They just know they want to eat macaroni and cheese every night because it tastes good. But you as a parent, as the adult, knows that's not healthy for them. It's not giving them any of the nutrients they need. So no, you can't have macaroni and cheese every single day. If kids were able to choose what they wanted to eat or how they wanted to dress, what they wanted to do, it would make no sense as to why they have parents. That's why parents are there, you know, that kind of thing. So it's like kids need parents to talk for them sometimes and speak up for them because kids don't know everything, which is, like I said, why they were given parents in the first place. It's like that balance. Yes, they can have they can have their own mind. Don't try to sit there and, you know, dictate them. But there are certain things that they don't know that you have to step in and tell them, hey, things are like this for a reason, or you have to eat veggies because of this and that, you know. And if they grow up and don't do it, that's on them. But at least you instill those values into them, that kind of vibe. Okay, I'm done talking about kids. Maybe some of you are meant to have kids, or just advocate for kids, be an advocate for children. A lot of you may have had to rely on yourselves only, which is why you now have, like I said, something you've gone through has kind of shaped what you speak up about. So people who come from homelessness or hunger will then speak about those things. People who are being affected firsthand by climate change are speaking up about climate change because I feel like see, there's something in your throat. Someone just wants you to talk, but you're still trying to talk through it. But boomers and all of them, people older than them, climate change, they ain't gonna be around for long. Climate change is not affecting them directly. But Generation Zers and above, and whatever they call the kids or generation that comes after them, climate change is affecting them directly right now, and it will affect them in the future. So they have to care. So it's something that's affecting them right now. So it's something that they're going to speak up about. For some of you, you have to rely on yourself and be your own queen. And that's something you're talking about, which is why, because you have to learn to decenter men, now you're teaching others how to do the same thing. Because you grew up homeless, you're teaching others, you're helping others how to, you know, not be that, but you're helping others who are home. You know, that kind of thing is coming through. It's something you've experienced personally, something you have to save yourself from, and now you have the power, the tools to do it. You're gonna help do it on a mass scale. So now I'm gonna get some cards from this Astro deck to see what other messages come through. Others of you could literally be like, you know how you see someone on social media and they're like just so wholesome. Oh my gosh, queen, you know, that kind of thing. Or mother. That could literally be what you're famous for as well. If you're someone who posts content, which is like I feel like majority of people do these days. Whether it's something you're doing to be famous or whether it's something you're just doing to do. Yeah, there's something about your outlook on life that's coming through heavily, strongly before Outlook even came out. But it's like people are gonna see you like, oh my gosh, that's such a queen. Even if you're a guy, it says radiate the regal feminine. So if you're a man, you radiate the regal feminine. You could have a soft spot for women because you come from a household where you have to see them struggle. I wanted to say suffer. You have to see them suffer and struggle. And you don't want that for any kind of woman. So now you're becoming an advocate for women. You're helping them out. You're being there for them, that kind of thing, you know? So it's based on personal experience. The cards are very talkative today. I appreciate that. They're coming out like very like one, you know? Instead of a whole splatter of things. So the energy is very concentrated, which I love. Because people can be famous for lots of things, but that really happens. We have fourth house roots. Look at what I was talking about. Children coming through again. Houses coming through again. Feeling safe. Helping people feel safe. Queen. She is the queen, the mother. And I was talking about mother of the household. You're literally going to be, some of you could be famous for being a very good mother, you know, especially if you post content on social media about being a mother. I mean, look at how I was talking about in the beginning of the reading. We have, excuse me, at the beginning of the reading, I was talking about the family aspects and how they were like kids are out there shaking and jiving and, you know, twerking and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of like, come back to what you like. What are we really here for? Like, I understand the whole thing about being here to have fun, have friends, do things that are good for you, cool. But some people make that their whole life, going out, shaking ass, doing this, drinking, drugs, sex, all that kind of. They make it their whole life, and that's not what we're here for. Choose a higher purpose, babe, please. Like, if you're one of those people that are watching, choose a higher purpose here, please. You were not put here on earth to do those low vibrational things, because they do tend to be low vibrational, okay? Especially depending on if you're using it for a higher purpose or not, or if you're just doing it because you just are a hedonist. You want to keep doing what feels good instead of doing what may be hard sometimes, you know? Like, you're going to be known for doing the hard work because you don't want to just sit there and coast on life and do what's all right or what feels good. You want to make everyone feel good, because some people just ignore the fact that there are people suffering. They don't care. And I'm just like, how? I could never. That could never be me. Like, I'm like, because yesterday we were driving back from dropping my sister off at school, and there was like a lone car on the highway while we are driving. I'm just like, I hope they're gonna be okay, you know. Don't know them, never seen them, never met them, but me being a decent human being is like, I hope they get home safe, you know. I hope someone comes and helps them. Are they okay? I would stop and help them, but it's also, we're in a world where it's dangerous for someone to stop and help you because you don't know if it could be a setup. So it's kind of like the things are just so but I'm like, I hope they're okay. I hope they get home safe. Other people be like, I don't care, and then we'll just drive by, you know. So it's just like, it's crazy. But you're someone who cares. You have compassion. You have empathy. You definitely want to help others. I'm hearing out of the trenches. You want to expand their mind. You could be known as, you could become famous for raising vibrations, opening up eyes. But there was something else that I wanted to say. Raising the vibration, opening people up to higher perspectives and energies and vibrations is that kind of thing. You know, when people see you act, like I said, they're gonna see you and be like, oh my gosh, that's such a queen. I want to help her, and they donate or they invest, and now all of a sudden you have a thriving business that kind of builds upon what you already believe in, building houses where people don't have any. You know, I just heard Mr. Beast. I believe I've never watched a video of this in my life, but I remember seeing a video that YouTube was like pushing to me, like, maybe you want to watch this. Stop. No, not my tea, but thanks. He was using the money he got from becoming this big influencer, big YouTuber, to give back to others and build houses. You know, that kind of vibe is what's coming through. Just giving back in general. You may become famous for being a philanthropist, a humanitarian, having a nonprofit, stuff like that, but dealing with the big, heavy issues in society and not like coasting over it and ignoring it. That's what you are coming out as. Like, remember where you came from. Your ancestors didn't die for this, for you to come and be in the club every night, not taking care of your kids, not working, everybody on the system. Like, no, we came here for a higher purpose than this, please. So you're going to be known for also, if we're just taking this and not getting so deep, because I tend to get too deep sometimes on my channel, sorry, not sorry. But if we're just generalizing this, you could be known for creating cozy content, you know, creating stuff about rebuilding homes, that kind of thing, because people go crazy for that. Cleaning your house, buying a house, fixing up your house, that kind of thing. Diving deep into your ancestry kind of vibe as well, diving deep into others' ancestry, that kind of thing. Finding out things about people they wouldn't have known otherwise is what I just heard as well. The ascendant is your outlook. It says your worldview, mission statement, expression, affect your role, mark, attitude, outer self, point of view. So yeah, your point of view is very just like, it's unique for sure, because not everyone is thinking about that, or doing things that you're doing. So it's kind of hard for people to not look at you and be like, wow, she's like really working, or he's really working towards something. They're going to be successful, that kind of thing. Body image, aura, likeness, approach, your impact, and first impression. So you're definitely leaving an impact. And the first house is the ascendant. So just you as a being. You're not your work. You are going to be in the spotlight, is the vibe that I'm getting from you guys. Looking yourself in the mirror and maybe not liking what you saw, or looking at the world and not liking what you saw. So you decided to be the change you want to see in the world. That's what you will be known for, which I love for you guys. But also, like I said, decor, your house, how you look, your body, your fashion, that as well. Because we have these beautiful fancy dresses, then we also have these beautiful doors and gold accents, and just the way you decorate your home as well could be a thing. With fourth house coming through the outlook, so you could be an interior designer, you could be known for decorating the houses of celebrities, or I'm hearing ambassadors, or um what do they call them, dignitaries, stuff like that. Like you work for the rich and famous. That was kind of coming through in group one, but in a different way. Like, for example, I was like, I mentioned Kim Kardashian, but in different ways. But for you guys, it's kind of giving me how she became famous, decorating or reorganizing famous people's closets. That's how we first started getting to know her on the scene before she even did that whole tape. So here we have death, and it came out in a struggle position. Okay, so you do bring things to an end. You find sanctuary, and I love how in this card it's very apparent that there's a sun setting in the background. So you're bringing an end to things. How certain things are done, how society tells us things should be done, or how they're, the right way, or how they've been done for so long. It's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. It is broke though. But they wouldn't think it's broke, but it is. We have Five of Cups, bruh. Please, in reverse. And then we have Two of Pentacles upright. So yeah, bringing some kind of a semblance of balance back to things. Where people thought all hope was lost, you kind of turn that on its head. And I love how the cards are so talkative for you guys. We have Queen of Pentacles. So taking care of people, absolutely. Coming out under the Queen, that's what you're going to be famous for. Taking care of others, being a homemaker, being a stay-at-home mom is what's coming through. Being a survivor, getting out of a difficult situation, and still making something of yourself. Being fertile, being very abundant. So you know what this is giving me? I forget her name. I think her name was like Bethany Iliota. Like, I just sometimes I see words and I don't pronounce it. I just say the first pronunciation that comes into my mind, and it may not be the right one. I may have looked at it wrong. I may have, pronounced it wrong, but I don't care. But it's not Leota. It's like Iliota or Bethany something. Iota. It's something OTA, I'm pretty sure, And she makes family content on TikTok. I think I've only seen her on TikTok. She could be everywhere else as well. I don't know. But her house is like giving Bridgerton. It's giving like very fairy core, cottage core, back in the day, regal feminine core with this Queen and Queen of Pentacles. Her family is the cutest. Her boys are the sweetest. Her husband is like just the most wholesomest. Her life is just so beautiful. And it's just like she's quiet. She sticks to herself. And she also talks about important topics. I just The other day I saw a video of hers come through my TikTok, and it was like she was telling people how she has like BPD or something, and she's like she doesn't want to talk about it a lot, but when she feels called to, she'll talk about it and then delete the video. But it's like, she's still bringing awareness and attention to it, but she's not making it her whole personality kind of vibe. Most of her brand is just home, children, very fantasy kind of. The way her house is like so pretty, it almost looks like this. The way she wears her beautiful flowy dresses, that kind of vibe is coming through for you guys. So you could be known as like for example, a Bethany Leota kind of person, or you could also be like a Nara Smith maybe as well. Because her house is we don't see her house much, but what we see of her kitchen and the way she cooks and like couture and stuff like that, that's what's coming through for you guys. So it's kind of like a very homey, nurturing, beautiful, structured, grounded kind of living. And you could be known from someone who has like a success story. You came from something to nothing. That's what your story arc would be. It's like from rags to riches. Like I said, you came from being someone homeless to having one of the most beautiful homes ever and decorating beautiful homes for other people. You came from being someone who didn't really have much food to now being able to give food to others because you have so much money laying around. You can give to others. You're going to be abundant. And the one thing about the Queen of Pentacles is the money she has, she gives back. She doesn't keep to herself. The money, the energy, the abundance she has, it gets given back out to the community through the work she does. You know? So it's almost like her husband is like doing all the work essentially, and like I said, the stay-at-home mom, and she's giving the money to the charities and stuff like that. That's the vibe I'm getting for you guys. So home, family, taking care of others, being an advocate, speaking up, bringing balance, getting rid of disharmony, making people feel safe. That's what you're going to be known for, what you would be famous for. Now what I'm going to do is get some cards from this Brittany Oracle. Now I know it's not like the most like practical to use for like a reading like this, but it also has like some careers like artists and stuff like that. So we can see what comes through from this deck, just to get more of a picture to see if anything else comes through again. To confirm the reading or we get something new, we'll just see what comes through. So I feel like I said all I need to say. I don't want to get too many cards. We have dump him. That's literally what I was saying about the freaking decentering men. So that's definitely something you could do. If you have the living legend, you become a living legend. That's why does something stuck in my throat this reading? So people may try to silence you along the way, tell you to be quiet or don't do that or stay in a woman's place or whatever, but you do not do that. You go after what you believe in, is what's coming through. But we have a living legend. You become a living legend. And Maya Angelou was a living legend. I didn't mention her. You could be known for your poetry, for your words, that kind of vibe, for bringing back order and balance, mindfulness, thoughtfulness, that kind of thing, which would make you a queen because everyone is following behind you and doing what you do because you said it. You know? Here we have the visionary. It's absolutely the cards are carding. Okay. Yeah. So you're going to be an advocate and speaking your voice for decentering men, for being a living legend. Some of you could end up being a pop star. You know what I mean? And people, you give a very personal view on your life. You're famous and you do these kinds of things. But I also love how she has like a very firm stance, a fierce stance. And then she has the microphone coming through. So it's like giving you're very fierce and proud about what you talk about. You don't let anyone intimidate you because you have plans of what you want the work to look like, and you're definitely going to, speak about it. Hmm. Your fashion could be important as well. Maybe some of you have a fashion brand. You make clothes, you make luxury items, you make household items. That could be something that's coming through as well for some of you, which would be the ascendant, the way you look at the home. You kind of build more of a very clean aesthetic or fancy, very out there aesthetic or a very modern aesthetic where it doesn't really matter. But there's something here about maybe interior designing. You become famous for that, or just making clothes. Because we have literally a shirt here with a logo on it. So maybe you end up having a saying, and you put it on the shirt and you're able to sell that. So it's definitely giving me influencer vibes, whether it's you being just like an influencer in your community or being an influencer on social media and you're advocating for all the right things, which is why people like, oh my gosh, you're just so wholesome. Like, I love you, queen. I'm also hearing, what's her name? Ugh. What is her name? Melody? Melanie? Like, she's just this really sweet, beautiful, gorgeous person on TikTok. Something Diaz. Is it Melanie Diaz? Hmm. I don't remember right now. Why is her name not coming through? But I'm pretty sure a lot of you will remember or know who I'm talking about. Like, if you watch TikTok videos, like, she's very cutesy. She's very beautiful. She has these big, like, brown eyes. She has like long hair. She recently cut it very short. Um, and she just comes on there. She just recently did like a whole, I think it's like for a fundraiser for like Pakistan or something, where she made a bunch of earrings and her followers like bought it and she sold it for them, kind of thing. And she sold it to them, made them, and then said all the money is going to a specific cause. That's what's coming through. So she makes earrings. You could make shirts and stuff like that. She's like very sweet, kind of like soft spoken. She has like a cutie little chunky monk cat called, I forget his name, but just very cute, wholesome family content. Even though she doesn't have kids yet, but her husband is very sweet and wholesome as well. Like I said with the whole Bethany thing, that's what you could be known for. Okay. But I'm gonna stop there and stop rambling. I hope the shooting resonated. I'm sorry if you heard raggedy kids in the background. Once again, I hope you didn't. But she's like so freaking loud, like it's crazy. She's in a whole other room, and her voice is reaching all the way out here. It's annoying at this point. But anyway, I can't help it. I closed the door. She opened it. Yeah, the door is closed, guys. You can still hear her if you can. Can you believe that? It's crazy. Anyway, I hope it resonated. If it did, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the tribe, the Divine Family. Love to have you. If you'd ever like to book a reading with me, you could always get in contact with me. Use my email in the description box below. But I hope you're having a beautiful, wonderful day whenever you're watching this reading. And as always, I will see you gorgeous people in the next one. Bye. Hello, my gorgeous group threes. Welcome to your reading. If you chose victim, then you are in the right place. Welcome. Today's reading is going to be about what would you most likely be famous for? What would you be most known for? What will your big break be? That kind of thing. So if you've ever just wondered what you'll be famous for, then you can keep watching. If you know you're going to be famous and you're just here to confirm what you're going to be famous for, then keep watching. But taking this with a grain of salt, things did get kind of serious in group one and group two. And I feel like I don't intend for it to be that way, but I can't seem to do like readings that don't have some kind of depth. And that could be because my collective has depth or I have depth, and I can't talk about frilly topics and not add some depth or base to it. So it's not going to be, oh my gosh, you're going to be famous for all these followers and that kind of thing. Maybe you will, but that hasn't come through yet. So we're going to see what comes through, or not in the way that you would think. A lot of followers would be. But anyway, the first card we have is victim, which prevents you from letting yourself be victimized or victimizing others. So essentially, you're going to be most known for not being a victim. So even if something were to happen to you that would make people place you in the victim column, I don't think you guys will stay there or consider yourself a victim, okay? So you're not going to allow yourself to be someone who, cowers in the face of fear or that kind of thing. I don't think that's going to be you, because the card says that, but also because we have a child eternal, okay? I do feel like children are the most resilient people out there. They're able to bounce back from any little thing. They will hop off a bed, get a gauge in their knee, and then hop up the next day and want to do it again. They'll fall off a bike and scrape their knee and get up and do it again. At least some kids will, and you could have been one of those kids who didn't let a few injuries stop you from doing what you wanted. Like a little bit of like wild child energy. You're gonna be a wild child forever. And like I said, when things happen to kids, it kind of rolls off their back and they get back up and do it again, depending on what it is. Because like, if it's like deep, intense trauma, of course it's gonna scar them, but still, kids do not stay a victim. It's once you kind of like, you don't heal it, and then it starts to fester and becomes a wound that did not get to heal properly, and that's when it becomes a problem. But Other than that, you're definitely giving someone who doesn't let a lot of things keep them down, and that's what you're going to be famous for. It's kind of like giving me a what's it called, a athlete who gets an injury, and people think, oh, let's pack it up. That's it for them. They're never going to come back, and then you do come back. Because you had the care from people around you, from yourself. There's something about that, because I immediately got taken to when I heard like a athlete getting injured. I was taken to the movie Just Right with Queen Latifah in Common, where he had an injury and they thought it was going to be career ending, but because she was a physical therapist and she was good at what she did, and they formed a bond, she was taking care of him emotionally as well as physically. He was able to heal and come back. You know. So and it's funny because I was also watching a video on Instagram yesterday, because I went on like a little road trip yesterday, and I was just there on my phone and I was watching an Instagram video, and it was basically a little baby who got paralyzed in one arm on the way out of the birth canal, essentially. So she had an injury during birth, and the doctor said it's a 25% chance she'll never be able to use her arm. And I was just like sitting there, was like, you know what I mean, watching the video, and it wasn't until I went to the comment section that I was just like blown away, because there was a comment that said she didn't know she couldn't, so she did. She was a baby. No, she didn't understand what it meant to not be able to move your body. She didn't know what it meant to be paralyzed. She didn't know they were the doctors were telling her parents that, but she's not understanding language yet. So she's just like, this is my body, and I didn't know that they said I couldn't walk. So she ended up being able to, move her arm and crawl and all that kind of stuff. And that comment just like blew me away. I'm like, wow, you right. We get told certain things, and our mind is so powerful, and the fact that we only use only half of it, can you imagine what we would be able to do if we use the whole thing? Like, people tell us things, you're never going to be anything, and you believe it and let it fester and let it become a wound it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Someone tells you you're never going to be beautiful, and you just take that to heart, and it doesn't matter how beautiful you get, you're always going to have that wound that festers that says you're not beautiful. People say, oh, you're never going to be skinny, and knowing that there's a lot of different things you could do and experiment with, you just believe them and you sit there and never get skinny. You know what I mean? They tell you that you're never going to walk again, and instead of you just still fighting with tooth and nail and not believing anything and taking what they say with a grain of salt, you there's some people who will just sit down and never work, and there's some people who will work every day at physical therapy and getting their mind strong to be able to walk again. Of course, some things cannot be helped, but like they said, the baby didn't know she couldn't, so she did. Like, I'm like, whew, that was a word right there. I felt that. I think I needed to hear that more than anything. Like, we believe and put parameters on ourselves, and it's like, think outside the box, move outside the box. We can. Yes, we can. Whose slogan was that? Was that Obama's slogan when he was running for president? Yes, we can. Like, stop telling yourself, no, I can't, I can't, I can't. Yes, the hell you can. And it was also reminding me of a video that I saw earlier before I came started filming, a Lizzo video where people kept telling her, oh, you keep working on never losing weight, and then she just went away for a little bit. She was working on herself, and then she came back and kind of did it before and after. She's still a bigger person, of course, but she's like toning herself, and the weight is coming off naturally in due time. No one needs to have a drastic physical, transformation for their weight loss to be valid. She's taking her sweet time with this. She's building it, and it's like a lifestyle. It becomes, once you do it all the time, and it becomes something like second nature to you. It becomes a lifestyle instead of you trying to work a year and get hundreds of pounds off in a year, and then you kind of lose the momentum because it wasn't something you built, and you stop working out instead of building it over years. It's a lifestyle. It's a marathon, not a race. Okay, that's what I'm getting for you guys. But that child eternal determination to remain young in body, mind, and spirit, ability to see things with fresh eyes. Like, you're never going to let anyone tell you can't do this, you can't be that, you can't go there, you can't, that kind of thing. It's a little bit of like a rebel, but not in like a way where you want to cause trouble. It's just in a way where you will never allow yourself to be a victim of circumstance, a victim of someone else's words. If someone says you can't, you prove them wrong, just to say you did. but being free. Free from judgment, free from restrictions, free from believing what other people tell you wholeheartedly and not having your own opinion. Here we have hedonist, inspires creative energy to embrace the good things in life, celebrates the beauty in yourself. Now, when they come out in reverse, I think we're supposed to read the shadow attribute, so I will. Pursues pleasure to the detriment of health, indulges at the expense of others. See, some of you could be my hedonist where you kind of ate all this food and gained all this weight, and now it's time for you to, get it off, and it's kind of hard. And I love how we have this like dark orange or this orange color without sacral energy, which is, pleasure, creation. Some of you could be known as someone who likes to have a lot of sex with people, that kind of thing. You kind of immerse yourself in the pleasures of life with all the sacral energy coming through. Now, it could be someone who completely kind of secludes themselves from the rest of the world to work on their project. And I don't care what anybody says, we all need human interaction every once in a while. Nobody's telling you to be best friends and so talkative with everyone, but we all need to be around others, consuming, not consuming, child, you know, consuming, I'll leave it at consuming their energy. There could be something about consuming coming through. You're going to be known as someone who eats things. Maybe my hedonists here, people who seek pleasure in all things in life. So you're seeking trips, and you become famous for going on trips. You eat food, you get famous for you become famous for eating food. I'm hearing mukbangs. So you could be famous for that, that kind of stuff is coming through. And I gotta have like a big brain fart for you guys. I'm feeling very airy and disoriented for whatever reason. So I don't know, some of you are lightheaded, some of you haven't eaten, drinking any water. If you haven't, please go do that. Or you're just tired. Or I just shouldn't be doing a reading right now and the energy's overwhelming. Something along those lines is coming through. But there's something here about maybe being out of it, you know, taking uppers or downers or smoking marijuana or whatever to keep you in this like daisy airy kind of state, which would attribute to the victim and the hedonist. You don't want to see yourself as a victim, but maybe you are a victim of circumstance. Maybe you did grow up in a household where a lot of the things that you think are bad or even good about you are things you inherited from your environment around you. So marijuana, you inherited that because your parents did it. Drinking, you inherited it because your parents did it. It's kind of like how people say that, like, alcoholism is passed down. It's a disease, like it's passed down from child to child. So it's very easy for you to, like, overdose on alcohol or anything. Honestly, food, drugs, sex, all that kind of stuff. It's easy for you to overdose on that because of your upbringing. You think, I'm not a victim, I chose this. Yes and no. I'll leave it there. Yes and no. Here we have the Fool, which is fearlessly revealing emotion, helping people laugh at absurdity and hypocrisy. So many people may see you as a victim, but you're just like, no, the heck I'm not. Which is just full energy. I'm most definitely not. You could also be like a bit of a jokester. You could be known for being funny, a comedian. A lot of different things are coming through here. So maybe a lot of people chose group 3. So I'm getting a lot of different careers and things. You could be known for a bunch of different things. You could get famous for a bunch of different things. A hedonist also, like I said, it points to some kind of lifestyle that everybody would love or everybody should want, kind of thing. Because you're inspiring creative energy in others. You become a muse to other people because of the lifestyle that you live. People want to be more like you. I want to grow up to be like you. I want to have that same life. I want to be famous like them. I want to have a lot of followers like them. I want to go on trips like them, eat like them, have a house like theirs, wear what they wear. kind of thing. You have like or deal with a lot of copycats is what I'm getting here, because you're someone who's very inspirational and you kind of celebrate yourself, which is hard for other people to sometimes do, to give themselves compliments, to big themselves up. It's hard for people to do that because we're told to be humble and not give ourselves too much credit. And it's kind of like, why? If I don't believe I'm the most amazing person ever, why should I believe someone else does? You know, that kind of thing. So a lot of self care, a lot of taking care of yourself, maybe getting your nails done, hair done, hair nails done, hair done, everything there, that kind of thing. For guys, you work out, you're cut, you're built, you're beautiful, and everyone wants to kind of like be like you. You become famous for this being someone who looks good. I'm also getting a bit of a vibe of people could objectify you. I don't know, that keeps coming through in reading sometimes. People like objectify you and only look at you as like a slab of meat, whether you're a man or a female. And instead of seeing yourself as a victim, you just have a good old time and let it slide right off your back, essentially. But the Fool says you have no problem being vulnerable and being open. So you would be those influencers who's on their timeline crying, they're doing story times, they're being very vulnerable, that kind of thing. And they're very charming, or you're very charming. So they go from having you laughing to having you crying to having you empathize with them. Like you're just on a roller coaster of emotions essentially with this person, which is why my head could feel so lighthearted, like lightheaded. So I'm just like, huh? Like your energy is like very potent, like intoxicating in a way. Okay. Still feeling very much lightheaded. I don't know if that's a me thing. Like I was feeling fine like before I started your reading, but let me try to get through the reading now. So I'm like, what? What will they be famous for, known for? Some of you, just a small bit of you, could be known for being like very hedonistic, drinking a lot, partying a lot, smoking a lot. That's why I'm feeling like lightheaded. I'm just like, what did I just do? What did I take? Why can I not focus? But please, Spirit, clear the energy. Let me get the energy for my group threes, please. My group threes, what will they most likely become famous for, please? Traveling keeps coming through big. Outlook, Ascendant. Maybe some of you were attracted to group two as well. Feel free to go watch it. There could be similar themes coming through an expansion. Yeah. You're expanding your outlook and how you live your life. That's what you're doing. And we want to take two to keep it even. Let me just go straight to the tarot cards as well. Yeah, the way you live, the way you look, the way you operate, that is what people find very intriguing about you as well. And that is what you're going to be famous for. It's just like, how do you dress like that? How do you look like that? How do you have your house like that? It's kind of like living a lifestyle that everyone wants to live, and they're just like, how do you do that? I'm hearing money, money, money. Ain't it funny? In a rich man's world. And I'm hearing gimme, gimme, gimme. So something here about you having money and everyone wanting some of it, you know? And Jupiter is a very abundant planet. And hedonist is like having too much of something. Like too much of a good thing is a bad thing, essentially, is what is coming through when I get hedonist. Jupiter expansion, enthusiasm, optimism, generosity. I do feel like you are very generous with your time and your energy, essentially. Maybe even your money. We have the Tower for what you'd be noticed for. See, I didn't want to say it, but some of you could literally like have a overdose, is what I wanted to say as well, or an addiction to something, and that's what you're going to be known for. You're going to get famous for like the way the actors were like. I feel like Heath Ledger and all of them were famous, but they weren't like pushed into the stratosphere until they passed or had overdoses, kind of thing. I'm also hearing River Phoenix. There's a lot of people who have like overdosed on living the life. They were too high on life, and the drugs or whatever they were taking were too accessible to them. So going on a destructive path could be something you have to watch out for. Group 3, please. Four of Pentacles, yeah, having some hold, having some structure on your life. That is what you're going to be known for. Like I said, rags to riches, being a victim but not being a victim. You're not letting it define you. You're just, becoming someone better for it. Is basically the vibe that I'm getting for you guys. And I honestly love that. You don't stay down. If things go wrong in your life, you don't allow it to keep you down or hold you back. Here we have Two of Swords in reverse. Yeah, you're going to be known as someone who, I'm hearing, had a decision to make and you made the best decision for you. Interesting. So you could have done something bad in your life for some of you, or you will do something bad and become known for doing that bad thing, but you don't let it make you a victim. Scares me. Or running from, because I love how this Tower card is coming out under the victim card. So it's like something happened in your life, and instead of you staying and burning with the tower, you jumped out of the tower, and you're known for getting out of it. So it's kind of like maybe an abusive relationship, you're known for getting out of it. Maybe if you were addicted to something, you were known for getting out of it. You didn't allow anyone to make you a victim, even yourself. You kind of got out of it, which could be that fog. Like it went away the more I kind of got into the energy. So, but yeah, there is something here about not being mindful, but like being in I don't want to say a trance, but it's kind of like, what happens when you are taking substances, your mind like goes wonky or something, from what I've heard, because I don't do that, but let me stop. From what I've heard, but like when you look for, if it's not that, you drink a lot and you become dizzy and wonky and then those kinds of stuff. And that's what I was getting. But now that I feel like I'm more alert now because you kind of drug yourself out of the mud. So is that's what I'm getting. You didn't allow yourself to be a victim. You saw something was wrong. It was brought to your attention. You kind of got yourself out of the problem here at the tower. I'm hearing like, I don't know, a story of like one survivor. Was there a show called The Lone Survivor? I think that's what's coming through. I don't know what it was about. Don't ask me. I just know it's a show called A Lone Survivor. Okay, it's kind of like everyone. Like, I don't want this to go dark and gory, but like everyone else survived, but you. So it could be you come from a family of, like I said, I was mentioning earlier, of alcoholics, and you're the only person who you may have succumbed to it because that's all you knew. But as soon as you knew there was better out there, you got yourself out of the situation immediately, which is that expansion coming through. You expanded upon something that you thought you were going to be a victim of. But you said, no, not I. Mom succumbed to it, dad succumbed to it, brother, cousin, aunt, uncle succumbed to it, not me. I refuse to be a victim, and you kind of got yourself out of it. That's what I'm getting. Like a success story, like I was saying earlier. Four of Pentacles, you have control of your life. You could be very structured. Maybe you come from a family of maybe poverty. You said, not I. So you already had a different outlook no matter where you came from. Three of Wands in reverse. I want one more. Ooh, and then we have Seven of Cups. You realize you had options. So you came from not the best background. You had some stability. You realized where the problem was. The Four of Pentacles got more of like a handle on your life, on where you wanted to go, what you wanted to do, kind of thing. Became grounded because her 2 feet are on the pentacle. She has a pentacle on her hand. And so it's kind of like values, foundation. That's not the word I'm looking for, though. Structure. I think I said that already. I'm hearing pedal to the metal, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm trying to get the exact phrase. Like, screw your head on the right way is a good one. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. Where you hit rock bottom and you kind of came back better for it, Because it allowed you to kind of have more of control. There's what I'm looking for. Thank you, the word. Have more control of your life with the Four of Pentacles. The Two of Swords in reverse. It is an energy of not knowing which way to go, knowing what to do. And it's kind of like following your intuition instead of what people tell you to do, doing what you want to do is the vibe that's coming through, which is, like I said, you'll never allow yourself to be a victim because maybe there's like a something in your life that's standing out where someone was like telling you what to do, controlling you, and you thought you had no choice, you had no say in how your life was going to turn out. And as soon as you realized you did, you had your head back on your shoulders the right way. You decide, I'm never going to get into this energy of not knowing where to go again. It's kind of like crossroads. So you could have started off at a crossroads, ended up at a crossroads with this tower energy. You were at a crossroads not knowing what to do, and you were just like maybe getting advice or information from everyone, family, whatever, and you decided, hey, I don't care what y'all have to say because y'all are not helping. You're making me more confused. I have to do what feels best for me at the end of the day. That's the vibe that's coming through. Now, Three of Wands in reverse is what you're going to be known for, and then we have Seven of Cups. Let me get a handle on these two energies here. Maybe I should get a clarifier for the Three of Wands in reverse. What will you be known for, famous for, Three of Wands in reverse? I did mention traveling, so maybe the Three of Wands isn't supposed to be in reverse. Hold on, let me get a clarifier. Why is the Three of Wands here, please, for what they're going to be known for, famous for? We have Five of Wands. Never backing down, because we have the Five of Wands, clarifying the Three of Wands. I don't think you're going to be able to see it, but maybe if I move it up, like that, and then bring this down, we can see both. So Three of Wands clarified by the Five of Wands. What would you be known for or be famous for? A fight. You see, this is like giving me a big blow up fight with the Tower card. It has to be. And you got out of it. And expanded. You found something that was better for you, a better path. And it took a big decision here with the Two of Swords and the Seven of Cups coming out. But how do you get famous from knowing this? Like, I'm trying to get the full story here. Maybe something happened in your hometown, in your life, that made the news. And it's kind of, you know what it's giving me now that I'm thinking about it? It's kind of like a um what is it called? What's that girl's name? Is it something Rose? Gypsy Rose. How she was literally being forced to play the sick child by her mother. Based on what I know, I think I watched a documentary on it. Like I said in group 1 or 2, I have a friend who makes me watch this stuff. Like, child, I don't like it right here. It's ghetto here. But she makes me watch these creepy documentaries about stuff that I would not watch otherwise. And we were watching the Gypsy Rose series on Hulu or something, and it was basically how her mother was forcing her to stay sick in order to keep reaping the benefits of it. A victim. Her mother was forcing her to become a victim or be a victim of life until she finally had to unalive the mother. Not ain't nobody saying what she did was right. I'm not condoning it in any way, shape, or form, but she did what she had to do to no longer become the victim. And the guy that she ended up falling in love with kind of helped her do it, if I'm remembering the story correctly. So it's kind of like she refused to be a victim. She had to make a choice. Of course, there were other options, but she chose the one that was best for her at the moment, and that one contained violence. She chose violence for that one. For her decision, she chose violence. It may not have been the best decision with the Two of Swords in reverse, but she did what she had to do with what she had, and she did what she did. And now all of a sudden, she's trying to like reform her life, and she went to jail for it. She served her time. She got out of it. Now she fell in love with someone. Their story became public. Then she kind of broke up with him. Now she's with someone else. She's expecting a baby. So it's kind of like she did something wrong. Yes, she did. Did she learn from it? We will never know. But she served her time, whatever, you know what I mean? And now she got out of it and she's making something of her life, you know? Now she's considered a celebrity or someone who's known because her story was like a tragic story, you know? And people were like baffled, like, oh, we thought she was sick and da da da. Like, so they were scamming and scheming, but that was her mom's way of living. She didn't want to live that way, so she had to do what she had to do to get out of that. That's what it's giving me. That's what's coming through. I'm like, I need an example to kind of bring it all together. It's kind of like feeling stuck, not knowing where to go, and having to fight your way out. You know, I'm hearing I write my way out. Wrote everything down far as I can see. Hamilton was in a hopeless situation in that play. That's a song from Hamilton. And he's like, I don't know what to do, where to go. My life is in shambles. I have nothing. I came from nothing. My mom is gone. My cousin's gone. My dad left me. I'm alone. I'm an orphan, essentially. And the people in the town saw his potential and decided to help him. because he wrote everything down far as he could see. He read, he learned, he decided to choose a new path. Two of Swords. Instead of listening to everyone else and doing what everyone else is doing, you decide to forge your own path, and whatever that may mean specifically or personally for you, you end up becoming famous for it. Breaking off from everyone else is also giving me like, it's giving me very toxic freaking families that we see and that become really big on social media. I'm hearing the Duggars, life with the Duggars or something like that, where they ended up that they had like mad kids, if I'm correct, I don't know, but like John and Kate plus eight, how they had their big blowout where John was cheating on Kate and they had a divorce and the kids had to choose sides, and of course the kids would know more than us what happened, so we don't know. I think most of the kids chose Kate, I believe, or maybe most of them. I know most of the kids ended up choosing one parent, and now we're like, does that mean John wasn't guilty since the kids chose him, or because they didn't choose him, does that mean he's guilty? It was something along those lines. Like these really crazy stories we hear about families, and it's kind of like we end up making them famous because of this situation. I'm also hearing, what's her name? The girl who was husky, and her mom is like Mama June or something. Is it, what's that girl's name? I don't know what I'm talking about. If y'all know who I'm talking about, something Boo Boo, Honey Boo Boo, and her mom. Like, Honey Boo Boo ended up having to remove herself from her mom and live with her sister because her mom was toxic and just using, their tragic life to get big and get famous. And you said, I don't want no parts of that, and you left. So that's how you'll become famous. And that's what that heatedness was coming through as, a family or someone trying to make you the victim, but you refuse to be the victim and milk the system for all it has, which is what all those families, in my opinion, are kind of doing, using their tragic circumstance to become rich off of it. John and Kate was eight. I had 8 babies. Give me money and give me my own show. Something like that. Like, I refuse to be a fool. I'm taking off the mask and showing you guys just how tragic it is. Because look at how we have the person crying behind the mask, but we can't see it until he takes off the mask. But she takes off the mask, they take off the mask, and they finally do and kind of air out dirty laundry. So airing out someone's dirty laundry is coming through, and that's how you're going to be famous. That was an interesting reading. I do want to get some more cards as well to see what other more lighthearted maybe things can come through. With Jupiter here, we have enthusiasm, optimism, generosity. So I feel like you getting out of this tragic thing and becoming happy in the end is what makes you happy. You could be someone who was stuck in a domestic household where you were like being abused, and they do say people who have been abused being younger or growing up, who have been a victim, end up becoming the aggressor. So someone who has been raped will end up doing the raping. Someone who has been violated as a child, the M word, they'll end up doing that to other people. Someone who's been abused will end up being an abuser, that kind of thing. But you kind of got away from it. So maybe you end up getting away from like a abusive husband or something, and or abusive mother and Gypsy Roses and Honey Boo Boo's story, that kind of thing. It's kind of like you were under an illusion, thinking that everything was fine. Like I said, that wavy, out of it trance like state that I was in the beginning of the reading, now it's completely gone. And it's because the more you start like getting into energy, the more you start to realize this is not for me, this is not what I want. And I was asking Spirit, please clear the energy. Maybe you find spirituality, and that's how you become famous, because you kind of, became better. You found spirituality and kind of found your true purpose. And you don't consider yourself a victim. You just consider yourself someone who got out, who made it out. I made it out. Hmm. That's the song coming through again. Um, he's like, I made it out. I fought my way out. Wrote everything down. Yeah, there's something about that Hamilton energy coming through, where you fought your way out, you dug tooth and nail, and now you have a story to tell. So maybe some of you write a book about this, whatever this was. 'Cause I'm like, how do you get famous from this? Unless, like I said, you become one of those people who detach themselves from their family and do your own thing and you're already famous because of what you were attached to. Now you decide to expand upon that and make it for the best instead of for the worst kind of thing. But some others of you could have this situation to come from this kind of lifestyle or background and end up writing a book about it, and you become famous from that book. It becomes a bestseller, that kind of thing, by telling your story you become famous is basically what I'm getting. So these are not like really like cards about career or anything like that, but they're also just the Brittany Oracle. So whatever comes through will come through. We could just, see if it confirms anything. We have the Snake Charmer. So being very charming, like I said, that muse energy coming through, um, where people want to be like you and people inspire you as well. Because all artists get their creation or they get their inspiration from somewhere. So you inspire others, they inspire you, and it's like a circle of giving back. You have the living legend. Yeah, you lived through something that was supposed to take you out, but it didn't. And then we have the badass. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have the snake charmer, someone who's dangerous, someone who kind of played the part so well. It's giving espionage film. It's giving someone who has to pretend to love someone, be with someone, seduce the freaking mob boss or whatever, one of my freaking books, in order to, witness protection program is also what I'm hearing. Something along those lines. You have to pretend to be someone else or go along with something in order to get out. But you also have to valiantly fight against the allure of that lifestyle, which is why you have to stay grounded with this Four of Pentacles here. But the Snake Charmer, the living legend, the badass. Yeah, there's something here about you living through something and becoming famous for it. A crash. You may be the only survivor. And I don't want to keep saying that, but that's what I'm getting, so I have to. I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to get gruesome or gory. But you may be the only person who survives out of a plane crash or a train thing or something along those lines. And you are the only person who can actually say what happened because you got out. A cult is also what I'm hearing. Oh my gosh, bro. This is crazy. Because you were a badass, you were a living legend. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, that's the girl who survived that. That's the girl who went through that. That's the guy who got away from this. That kind of vibe. And you become famous because of that. This is not what I was expecting, but hey. The Snake Charmer, you did what you had to do in the situation you were in until you were able to get out. Snakes are dangerous, especially these kinds of boa constrictors. They're gonna, or is it? Yeah, it's a boa. They wrap around you and strangle you, but and the grip is strong on them boas. But look at them charming the snake, and the snake is like, oh, now the snake is not wrapping around her. The snake is dancing with her, child. Your words is something, like I said, the snake charmer, though your music as well could be something as well. Like you tell your story through your music, and your music is big because of it. You tell your story through your words, your writing, and it becomes big because of it. You tell your story through YouTube and become big because of it. That's how we know a lot of these things. People tell their stories, story times on YouTube and stuff like that. But it's your specific, unique outlook, despite what you came from, despite what you were told to believe in, that has you becoming famous because you're using your words. But yeah, chaos, destruction, havoc is what makes you famous. Something happens. And instead of you getting caught up in it, you run away from it. So maybe you end up like having a husband who does something, you get away from him, and that's your story. And it ends up on the 10 o'clock news, that kind of thing. But I'm hearing, I'm a survivor from Reba. A single mom who works 2 jobs, who loves her kids and never stops, with gentle hands and a heart of a fighter. I'm a survivor. So you become famous by being a survivor. And I'm just going to end it right there because I don't know what else to say. What's at the bottom of the deck here for this? In this card, we have fourth house roots. So yeah, it has something to do with family and surviving that. I'm hearing surviving something. There's a show called Surviving Something, and I believe it's about someone who survived being with someone. It's kind of like giving me, I keep wanting to say it, but I didn't say it the whole reading, but like Ted Bundy's daughter, how she survived being the daughter of a freaking mass unaliver. Like, all these women who end up being the spouse of that person they survive, they end up being the daughter of that person they survive. It's just like, how did you not know? How did you not know? You know what I mean? And And it's because you were in a trance, you were in like a stasis, you didn't know until you did, and you got out. But just something about being lucky as well with the Jupiter card energy coming through as well. You're just really lucky because you made it out and other people really didn't. It's kind of like a success story. You come from a tragic success story in which you make something from yourself and people start, saying, oh my gosh, is that the little girl from so and so kind of vibe? And then your past kind of catches up with you and you have to tell your story, and you know what I mean? But it is a success story because you got out. Yeah, I'm trying to give you examples. This was kind of like a very, I don't know, kind of reading, but we made it to the end. If this reading resonated, please like, subscribe, join the tribe, the Divine Fam. Okay, comment as well. If you would ever like a personal reading with me, you could always get in contact with me using my email in the description box below. But I do hope you're having a wonderful, beautiful day whenever you're watching this reading. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. You know what? Maybe not bye. The Jupiter expansion is giving me something about playing, having a good time. Like I said, traveling, amusement parks, having a very lavish lifestyle. For those of you who are not resonating with the heavier topics, I'm trying to get a little bit of everything. We have the living legend. There's something here about maybe you becoming a singer and being in the spotlight. Like I said, using your voice to tell your story, and in doing so, you become a living legend. That kind of thing. With the whole showing your emotions, revealing your emotions, writing emotional songs. Some of you could end up in the arts, okay, is what I'm getting here. And by singing about your tragic past is what gets you famous. Okay, hi group 3. What I got when I entered your reading is also an energy of maybe someone being the only one to escape like a serial unalive or something like that. And that's how you become famous because you tell your story. That kind of thing is coming through as well. So like I said, being the lone survivor, the only one to survive, the only one to get out kind of thing. Yeah, you escaped, you got away from it. And I also did want to use the example of the movie. Like I think it's like Maxine or something, where she essentially comes from like a very religious, culty kind of hometown, and she leaves and goes to LA to make a name for herself to be an actress. And her dad kind of, she disappears, runs away. I don't know if she fakes her death. I'm not sure. I don't think she does, but she gets away from that town, because she wants to be an actress, of course. So she starts becoming a little bit famous, and but she has to end up being a PORN star in order to get her make her name. And then when she gets cast for a big movie, her past comes back to try to find her, and it's like a very dangerous, gory kind of movie as well. It's fairly new. It's very 2024. I watched it with a friend of mine, and we were just like, "What the heck did we just watch?" But essentially, she is the only survivor at the end of that movie. So that's why that movie's coming through as well. Her dad ends up being the person coming for her. Sorry to spoil it for those, but I'm pretty sure y'all wasn't gonna watch it anyway. Her dad is like in a cult, and he's very religious, and saying, you guys are in LA, doing all these things, doing PORN, corn, you know what I mean? And all this stuff just to be famous. And he's like, no, you're pure. So he ends up like unaliving a bunch of her friends, and everybody's wondering, why is everyone in proximity to you being unalive but you're not? And instead of trying to help the police, she tries to run away from her past, but in the end it confronts her. She goes and confronts her past. Her dad ends up being unalived, everyone else ends up being unalived, and she is the sole survivor. And then she ends up becoming this big freaking movie star. Like if you watch that movie, child, or you did, let me know your thoughts, because I still don't understand what the heck the movie was about. But she ends up being this big famous actress afterwards because her big break wasn't spoiled. Like I feel like her surviving her dad trying to come and unalive her and being a part of some cult is literally what helps her become even more famous. So that's literally what I was kind of saying. By proximity of family, you get your big break essentially. But I feel like I needed to say that. So if you stuck around, thanks again. But yeah, that needed to be said because it just kept coming through. I didn't want to say it because it's like a very crazy movie, but it does tie into what else I was saying as well. But it's kind of like, yeah, she was the only one who survived the whole thing. So that's how she became famous. Then she ended up getting roles and, becoming an actress, even though she was already an actress beforehand. Her movie ended up popping off because it was released with the um, headline of Girl Survives. You know, her father's crazy manic episode and unaliving all her friends and that kind of thing, and it shot her to the stratosphere. So that could be how you become famous, y'all. Okay, I don't want to wish it on you, but it's just an example. Take it or leave it. But thanks for watching either way. Now I'm officially done. Back. Bye.